What's the trick? I wish I knew. I'm so done with thinking through all the things I could have been, and I know you wanted to. All it takes is that one look you do, and I run right back to you. You cross the line, and it's time to say F you. Castles glitter under Spanish skies, but I'm just looking out for you tonight. We used to run around this ghost town, always thinking out loud, how we gonna get out? I remember we dreamed of places that we could go, castles with the strange glow, people that we don't know. I remember we left a life that's so ordinary from the start. We look for stranger things, cause that's just who we are. Find me the edge of something beautiful and loud, like I'm picturing now. Castles glitter under Spanish skies, but I'm just looking out for you tonight. Snow I see a technicolor shadow underneath your window. Just in case you don't know, I can see it. You cast an unfamiliar day glow, different than what I know. Shining.
Well, for anybody who's here, hope you'll forgive me for indulging myself a little bit. Decided I was going to let myself play around and mess around with my stream a little bit today. Start a little bit later. Feel a little bit more confident in my stream setup. Feels good to kind of tinker with it and kind of be happy with it every time. I think I need to give myself more time at the beginning of streams to just kind of tinker with what I've got there. And I did some tinkering yesterday, actually, ahead in preparation. It's amazing, I know. With this stream to make sure that it was going to be copacetic, because last time I discovered I had issues where my stream wasn't working at all. It was actually trash. And that was really disappointing because I kind of put some love into this, but hopefully it should be good now. I put some attention into kind of back into the chroma key stuff and how that looks and how that feels, and I think I've got to a place where I'm happy. There's still some things I really want to change in the long run, but you know, that's neither here nor there right now. That's not going to happen today, so there's no use kind of stressing about it, I guess. I say as I continue to tinker and jinker and mess with stuff because I can't help myself sometimes. But what are you going to do? So yeah, I'm going to keep reading. I think we left off on chapter 7. I'm going to go forego the beverage, I think, this time, which may or may not come back to bite me, but I guess we'll find out. So where did we leave off? It was past page 100. Chapter 7, right? Chapter 7? Yeah, we read 5 and 6 last time. So chapter 7, we just got through kind of the listening and the application aspects of the book. So we kind of switched gears and turned into a little bit more, okay, this is the, after you've reached the foundation, reached the baseline, this is what, you know, your leadership needs to look like in order to be a person of influence. So without further ado, let's begin. Person of influence navigates for other people. With this chapter title already, I resonate with this because this kind of echoes some of the stuff that I've been reading in other books, where, like, you know, it has to do with basic leadership. And oh shoot, hang on, have I got this reversed? I've got this reversed. Give me a second. I'll fix this. Got to fix the book cam. So, like, I've read books by, like, people like Seth Godin who go into kind of leadership by map making, and that kind of resonates with me. Like, I kind of see where we built ourselves a culture of people who want to follow a map, people who want to be told what to do, who want to be who want it to be easy and clear and packaged for them exactly what they're supposed to do. People who want to follow instructions and kind of be the, not the gopher, but kind of the, have everything drawn out for them with nice clean lines, which is just tempting. It's tempting to want to work under those. Oh, that's the issue. Okay, hang on. It's tempting to want to work under those conditions because it's really easy and it's really simple. And it means that you're not, it's an easy scapegoat for responsibility. As ugly as that sounds, that's really what it is. Nobody wants to be responsible for when failures happen. So to escape responsibility, people don't want to be held responsible with a map. If you're the one who makes the map, if you're the one who makes the decisions and everything goes, the way, not the way you want it to, then you can't really point to anybody else and say, well, they told me to do this. And yet we built an entire culture that works around that idea. So getting into that is all really complicated. It has to do with several books that I've read, including like Tribes and Tribes by Seth Godin and Lynchpin by Seth Godin. And then if you read The One World Schoolhouse, that also gets into how we have been trained to be docile and to be a labor force and nothing much more, even though that much more is what's being demanded by an economy. So without expounding too much and going crazy, I'm going to start the recording and I'm going to start reading. A person of influence navigates for other people. Helping people enlarge themselves and develop their potential makes it possible for them to get a whole new level of living. But no matter how much they grow and learn, they'll still face obstacles. They will make mistakes. They will run into problems in their personal and professional lives. And they will encounter circumstances they won't be able to get through without some help. John tells a story about a time when he decided to help a whole plane load of people get through a tough day together. I travel a lot because of the speaking I do around the country, and sometimes that leads to unusual situations. I remember one particular evening when I was in the airport in Charlotte, North Carolina, getting ready to fly to Indianapolis, Indiana. I was on the phone up to the last minute, and then I dashed up to the gate to meet Dick Peterson, former president of Enjoy, expecting to run onto the plane just before the doors closed. But to my surprise, the waiting area had about 50 or 60 people moping around in it. I looked at Dick and I said, "What's going on?" "Well," Dick said, "it looks like we won't get to fly out for a while yet." "What's the problem?" I asked. "I don't know," he said. So I went up and talked to the agent at the gate, and he told me the flight attendants aren't here yet. We can't allow anyone on board until they come. Then he announced the same thing over the PA system. I could see everyone in the waiting area kind of deflate. It looked miserable. I looked at Dick. I said, let's see if we can help these people out. So he went to a snack counter close by and told the woman there, named Denise, "I'd like 60 Coca-Colas, please." She stared at me a moment and finally said, "You want 60? Then I explained to her, "There are a whole bunch of passengers down at the next gate who are disappointed and they need something to boost their morale." "You're not kidding. You're going to buy one for everybody?" she asked. "You bet." She paused for a moment, then said, "Can I help?" She, Dick, and I took those drinks down to the people at the gate, and I could see that they weren't sure what to think. So I said, "May I have your attention, please? My name is John Maxwell. Since we're not going to leave for 30 to 45 minutes, I thought I would at least get you something to drink. It's on the house." We started passing around the Cokes, and I could tell they thought I was weird. So did the airline personnel. But after a while, I began to develop a rapport with them. And when they found out the flight attendants were on the ground and would be at the gate soon, I was finally able to talk them into letting us on the plane. As soon as we all got on the plane, I saw a large basket of peanuts, granola bars, and goodies in the galley. And I thought to myself, hey, they ought to have something to eat with that Coca-Cola. So I went down the aisle giving out the goodies. In only 5 minutes, I had served them all something to eat, and they were drinking their Cokes. About this time, the flight crew rushed aboard. They were very apologetic. They got on the plane's PA system right away and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started right away. As soon as we can, we will begin beverage service." Well, they could hear a lot of laughter and chattering in the cabin, and one of the flight attendants said to the other, "What's going on here?" "Hi, my name's John," I said. "They're not too worried about your service right now. I've already given everybody something to drink and some snacks to eat. In fact, would it be all right if I talked to everyone for a moment?" They laughed at me and said, "Sure, why not?" As we taxied out of the runway, they let me talk. "Hi, folks," I said. "This is your friend, John Maxwell. Please buckle up. We'll be airborne in a few minutes, and as soon as we're in the air, I'll be back again to serve you." We had a great time on that flight. I talked to everybody and helped serve drinks. When we landed, I asked if I could talk to everybody one last time. "Gang," I said, "this is John. I'm so glad you were on this flight today. Didn't we have a wonderful time?" Everybody clapped and cheered. "Now, when we get off, I'm going to go down there to the baggage claim area. If any of you have any problems, please see me, and we'll immediately take care of the situation." While I was down in the baggage area helping people find their luggage, a man came up to me and said, "This has been great. I'm from Florida, and I've got some grapefruit with me. Here, have a grapefruit." "Thank you very much," I said. "You know, I've got a brother who lives in Florida, in Winter Haven." "That's where I live," he said. "What's your name again? John Maxwell? Wait, your brother's name is Larry, and his wife Anita?" "That's correct." "I know them," he said. "Anita served on a board with me. I'm going to call them right now. They won't believe it." He hurried off toward a bank of phones. "I've traveled for years," he said, "and nothing like this has ever happened before." What could have been a miserable plane ride of tired, grumpy people turned out to be an experience that nobody on the flight will ever forget. Why? Because one person decided to take others under his wing and help them through a potentially unpleasant situation. It's a process that we call navigating. Most people need help working through some of life's difficulties. The plane flight probably wasn't more than an inconvenience for most of those passengers, but they still enjoyed being coached through the experience by someone with a good attitude. That kind of assistance is needed and appreciated by most people, especially when life's complicated problems hit closer to home. People have a tougher time with them. The people in your life with whom you have influence need your help, especially the ones who are trying to go to a new level, start a new venture, or enter a new phase of life. They need someone to lead and guide them. Mel Ziegler, founder of Banana Republic, outlined a leader's ability to navigate when he wrote, "A leader discovers the hidden chasm between where things are and where things would better be, and strings up a makeshift bridge to attempt the crossing. From the other side, he guides those who dare to cross his rickety traverse until the engineers can build a sturdier span for all." Ziegler painted a vivid picture, but for most people, the leadership they need isn't just a one-time event, a single chasm to cross. Most people need guidance on a fairly continual basis until they can get their lives together, and then they can be encouraged to make the trip under their own power. It's more like an ocean voyage that you have to navigate them through than a chasm you have to coax them across. You've got to help them find their way, spot icebergs, and weather stormy seas, and you've got to take the trip with them, at least until they're on the right course and can learn to navigate on their own. A navigator identifies the destination. In the previous chapter, we talked about the importance of casting a vision of people's future so that they're encouraged to grow. The next step is to show them their destination in a more concrete way. Most people who are dissatisfied and discouraged... Oops, let me adjust something real quick. Make sure I'm in the right range and not blowing people's ears out. So I apologize. The next step is to show them their destination in a more concrete way. Most people who are dissatisfied and discouraged feel that way because they haven't grabbed hold of a vision for themselves. It's been said, to bury your dreams is to bury ourselves, for we are really such stuff as dreams are made on. God's dream for us is to reach our potential. You have to help others discover their dreams, then get them moving toward them. If there is no movement, then there can be no navigation, and any movement will be progress only if it's in the direction of the destination. You may already recognize much of the potential of the people that you're trying to mentor, but you need to know more about them. To help them recognize the destination they will be striving for, you need to know what really matters to them, what makes them tick. To do that, find out these things. What do they cry about? You know where people truly want to go. To know where people truly want to go, you need to know what touches their hearts. Passion and compassion are compelling motivators. It has been said that the great men and women of history were great not for what they owned or earned, but for what they gave their lives to accomplish. Listen to your heart, and you are likely to discover the things for which others are willing to give themselves. What do they sing about? Frank Irving Fletcher observed, "No man can deliver the goods of if his heart is heavier than his load." There's a big difference between the things that touch people's hearts and the things that weigh them down. In the long run, people need to focus a lot of energy on what gives them joy. Looking for enthusiasms in the people you mentor will give you another clue concerning their intended destination. What do they dream about? Napoleon Hill said, "Cherish your visions and your dreams as they are the children of your soul, the blueprints of your ultimate achievements." If you can help people discover their dreams and truly believe in them, you can help them become the persons they were designed to be. A navigator plots the course. When you consider people's passions, potential, and vision, you are better able to see where they really want to go because you view them with more depth and discernment. Often, people say their goal is happiness or success, but if they identify such a surface thing as their destination, they're sure to be disappointed. As John Condrey emphasized, happiness, wealth, and success are byproducts of goal setting. They cannot be the goal themselves. Once you, as the navigator, assist others in identifying a vision for their lives, you need to help them find a way to make it a reality, and that means plotting a course and setting goals. Joyce Meyer said, "A number 2 pencil and a dream can take you anywhere." No doubt she understood the value of planning and putting goals in writing. That doesn't mean that things always go as you expect, but you have to start with a game plan. A good rule of thumb is to set your goals in concrete and write your plans in sand. To help people plot their course, give attention to these areas. Where they need to go. You would be amazed by how far off track some people can get when trying to reach their goals. As E.W. Howe wrote in Success is Easier Than Failure, some people storm imaginary Alps all their lives and die in the foothills, cursing difficulties that do not exist. People who have not yet experienced success often have no idea what it takes to get from where they are to where they want to go. They throw themselves into a labyrinth of activity because they don't recognize that they can take an easier path. As the navigator, you are to show them the best course. What they need to know. We heard an amusing story about a husband who wanted to help his wife because he suspected she had a hearing problem. One night, he positioned himself across the room from her with her back to him and softly said, "Can you hear me?" He didn't get an answer from her, so he moved closer and repeated, "Can you hear me now?" Still nothing. He moved closer and asked, "Can you hear me now?" He heard no response, so finally he repeated the question from directly behind her. She turned to face him and said, for the 4th time, "Yes!" I get it. Too many people out there are similar to that husband. They want to succeed and help others, but their misunderstandings or lack of knowledge hinders them. A good navigator recognizes the blind spots in others, gently identifies them, and helps people overcome them. How they need to grow. When you are navigating for others, remember that they can't make the whole trip in a day. They have to grow into their goals to take things one step at a time. An experiment performed by Alfred J. Morrow, a company president with a PhD in psychology, illustrated this fact. He was interested in finding a way to help new, unskilled employees reach optimum performance and match the standards of his skilled, experienced employees as quickly as possible. Morrow decided to divide some new employees into 2 new groups. With the first, he asked the unskilled workers to match the production of the skilled ones by the end of 12 weeks. With the second group, he established escalating weekly goals. Each week's goal was slightly more ambitious than the one the week before. In the first group, with a single goal, only 66% of the workers were able to meet his expectations. But the second group, with the intermediate goals, performed significantly better and was able to match the production average of the company's experienced laborers more quickly. As you work with people, help them figure out not only their long-term destination, but also the smaller steps along the way. Help them identify attainable goals that will give them confidence, and they'll make progress. I want to take a second to stop there because that struck a note with me. So I've been bullet journaling, or journaling in general, for, oh gosh, how long now? A year? Almost? I think it'll be a year in a couple months. And bullet journaling has changed my life pretty substantially. Been extraordinarily productive. And I almost feel like bringing out my bullet journal, but getting in and out of my rig is not the easiest thing in the world. So I think I'll leave things intact and just kind of describe it. So with bullet journaling, you basically, the point is to get everything out of your mind. Get everything out of your head and onto a piece of paper. And when you do that, you free up your mind. You free up your mind to be present, be in the moment, and Just focus on what's in front of you, because everything that's floating, when you don't do that, when you don't record that, and you know there's some things that you really should be doing, they plague your mind. They just kind of wreak havoc. They just stick in your head, and your mind doesn't have the mechanisms to deal with multiple things at once. So every time you go past something that you know you should be doing, your mind just kills yourself saying, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing what you know you should do? Because, hello, like it's horribly self-destructive to try to keep all of the stuff that you have to be doing in your life in your head. You have to get it recorded somewhere, anywhere. It doesn't matter. The getting things done mentality is all about this. The entire process is developing really good systems for digesting incoming information and making sure that it gets recorded in a reliable, reviewable place where you know you can put it out of your mind and just let it be gone, because you know it's recorded somewhere where you'll look at it. So it's a great system and it's worked really well, but there's a pattern I noticed where I will stare at big items like, clean the entire basement. And I'll just kind of stare at that, and I will never start on it. I'll never do anything on it because it's such a big item to me. I never feel like I have enough time or energy to dedicate to it and to get it done. Because I don't feel like I can get it done in one session, I don't start it at all. So what I've started doing is, instead of having these huge, grandiose goals and tasks, I will take a task apart and not record every piece of it, because that's still the same task, just recorded on many bullet points. I will take the task and I'll break it down to its smallest component. Like, I might even say, just start on doing it. Like, I need to go through my filing bin, which is daunting by itself, because it's a big filing bin. It's just stuff that needs to be gone through, cleaned out, and just wiped away for a fresh slate. So I won't say go through your entire filing bin. I will say just start on it. And when I say that, that gives me license to not finish. But the thing is, once you begin on something, it's surprisingly difficult to stop. So it's this mind trick that gives you the license to stop if you want to or have to. But it gives you the satisfaction where if you start doing it, you make progress on it, you get to check it off, and then you write a new task to continue that task. And that is a constant progress of moving projects forward. You end up using more paper and more lines, but you give yourself so much freedom to just take the huge things that you have to accomplish in your life and break them down to bite-sized chunks that you can digest, and you can look at your list and say, oh yeah, there's like 5 or 6 things I can just knock out, bang, 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 without really thinking about it. It's really nice. So I just want to go into that because this kind of touched on that in a small way. Setting small, achievable goals is huge. Just take baby steps. Write something down. Get started. If you can constantly make progress consistently, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how fast you start. That's why a lot of gym programs fail. I started a successful exercise routine, and by successful I mean consistent, when I said all I'm going to do to exercise is walk. That's it. Just walk. And if you walk, I think a lot of experts would agree, if you just walk, if you walk fast enough, and I walk 3.5 miles an hour, approximately, if I'm on a treadmill, then that's good exercise by itself. If you walk enough and often enough, that's decent exercise. That's fine. But I like walking. I don't like going to the gym and running and getting all sweaty and feeling just drained and out of it and sore after the fact and feeling like I need to change my clothes every time. It's such a burden, and feeling like I need to do that to go to the gym was a self-limiting belief that I needed to break. And when I broke that self-limiting belief and kept things simple, small, and achievable, like just a walk, it just made my life so much better. It made things so much more achievable. Let's get back to the book. A navigator thinks ahead. Few things are more discouraging than being blindsided, especially when someone who could have helped you stands by and watches it happen. That's why thinking ahead for others is part of your task as a navigator. As a person's leader and mentor, as people's leader and mentor, you have been places they have not yet gone, had experience they have not yet been through, and gained insights that they have not yet developed. You have the ability to prepare them for what they are going to face. If you don't, you're not helping them the way you should, and you are no longer performing one of your most important functions as a leader. American humorist Arnold H. Glasgow saw the significance of this. One of the tests of leadership is to recognize a problem before it becomes an emergency. That's something the less experienced persons you're helping cannot at first do on their own. Here are 4 things you should help them understand as they get underway. Number 1, everyone faces problems. Somebody quipped, if you keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, you just don't understand the problem. As you mentor people and help them grow, you will find that they expect to someday reach a point in their lives when their problems disappear. But they need to realize that everybody has problems. No matter how successful they become, they will continue to face difficulties. Or as writer and artist advocate Elbert Hubbard said, the man who has no more problems to solve is out of the game. Number 2, successful people face more problems than unsuccessful people. Another common misconception is that successful people have achieved because they don't have problems. But that just isn't true. In the book Holy Sweat, Tim Hansel tells this story. In 1962, Victor and Mildred Gertzel published a revealing study of 413 famous and exceptionally gifted people. The study was called Cradles of Eminence. These 2 researchers spent years trying to understand the source of these people's greatness, the common thread which ran through all these outstanding people's lives. The most outstanding fact was that all of them, almost all of them, 392, had to overcome very difficult obstacles in order to become who they were. Their problems became opportunities instead of obstacles. Not only do people overcome obstacles to become successful, but even after they have achieved a level of success, they continue to face problems. The bad news is that the higher people go, personally and professionally, the more complicated life gets. Schedules get tighter, money issues increase, and greater demands are put on successful people. But the good news is that if they continue to grow and develop themselves, their ability to deal with problems will also increase. Number 3, money doesn't solve problems. Another faulty belief is that money solves all problems. The opposite is actually true. People with money tend to be less content and have additional problems. For example, Ernie J. Zielinski cites a survey showing that a higher percentage of people making more than $75,000 a year are dissatisfied with their incomes than those making less than $75,000 a year. He also noted, a larger percentage of the rich have alcohol and drug problems than the general population. I have a theory about how well off we will be with a lot of money. If we are happy and handle problems well when we're making $25,000 a year, we will be happy and handle problems well when we have a lot more money. If we are unhappy and don't handle problems well at $25,000 a year, we can expect the same of ourselves with a lot of money. We will be just as unhappy and handle problems as ineffectively, but with more comfort and style. The bottom line is that you should try to help people understand that money is no substitute for the basic problem-solving skills they need to develop. Financial problems are usually a symptom of other personal problems. Number 4, problems provide an opportunity for growth. As you look ahead and help people realize that while problems can cause pain, they also provide an excellent opportunity for growth. The people of Enterprise, Alabama understand that idea. In their town stands a monument to the Mexican boll weevil, erected in 1919. The story behind it is that in 1895, the insect destroyed the country's major crop, cotton. After the disaster, local farmers began to diversify. The peanut crop of 1919 far exceeded the value of even the best ones comprised of cotton. On the monument are the following words: in profound appreciation of the boll weevil and what it has done as the herald of prosperity, out of a time of struggle and crisis has come new growth and success. Out of adversity has come blessing. As you have certainly observed, not everyone approaches life's problems in the same way. Historian Arnold Toynbee believed that all people react in 4 different ways under difficult circumstances. Number 1, retreat into the past. Number 2, daydream about the future. Number 3, retreat within and wait for someone to rescue them. And number 4, face the crisis and transform it into something useful. Gee, I wonder which one's the best one. As you help others, let them know there may be rough waters ahead. Show them that it's wise to plan ahead as best they can, and when trouble comes, encourage them to face it and try to become better as a result. A navigator makes course corrections. We've heard that back before the time of sophisticated electronic navigational equipment, The ship's navigator used to take a reading of the stars at a particular time in the middle of the night, determine how far off course the vessel was, and make adjustments to its course. No matter how accurately the original course had been laid out or how carefully the helmsman had followed his orders, the ship always got off course and needed adjustments. People are the same way. No matter how focused they are or how well they plan, people still get off course. The problem comes when they have difficulty making course corrections, either because they don't know they're off course or because they don't know what they should do to fix things. Not everyone is a natural problem solver. For most people, it's a skill they must learn. John Foster Dulles, Secretary of State during the Eisenhower administration, proposed that the measure of success is not whether you have tough problems to deal with, but whether it's the same problem you had last year. As the navigator, you can help people avoid that situation. Teach them not to listen to doubting critics. In the book Principle-Centered Leadership, Stephen Covey tells how Columbus was once invited to a banquet where he was given the most honored place at the table. A shallow courtier who was jealous of him asked abruptly, "Had you not discovered the Indies, are there not other men in Spain who would have been capable of the enterprise?" Columbus made no reply but took an egg and invited the company to make it stand on end. They all attempted to do it, but none succeeded, whereupon the explorer tapped it on the table, dented one end, and left it standing. "We all could have done it that way," the courtier cried. "Yes, if you had only known how," answered Columbus. "And once I showed you the way to the New World, nothing was easier than to follow it." The truth is that it's 100 times easier to criticize others than to find solutions to the problems. But criticism gets you nowhere. Help the people within your influence ignore the critics and keep their eyes on the big picture. Show them that the best way to silence critics is to solve the problem and move on. Coach them not to be overwhelmed by challenges. A rookie Major League Baseball player faced pitcher Walter Johnson for the first time when Johnson was in his prime. The batter took 2 quick strikes and headed for the dugout. He told the umpire to keep the 3rd strike. He had seen enough. When faced with tough problems, just about anybody is likely to get discouraged. That's why it's a good idea to coach people through their problems, especially early in the mentoring process, while you're first helping them to navigate. Encourage them to maintain a positive attitude and give them strategies for problem solving. Management expert Ken Blanchard recommends a 4-step problem-solving process that includes, number 1, thinking about the problem in order to make it specific. Number 2, forming theories for solving it. And number 3, forecasting the consequences of carrying out the theories. And then number 4, choosing which method to use based on the big picture. There are no impossible problems. Time, thought, and positive attitude can solve just about anything. Encourage them to seek simple solutions. There are a couple of keys to the most effective method of problem solving. The first is to recognize that the simple way to solve a problem is better than the most clever one. An example from the life of Thomas Edison illustrates this point well. It is said that Edison had a unique way of hiring engineers. He would give the applicant a light bulb and ask, "How much water will it hold?" There are 2 ways the engineers usually went about solving the problem. The first way is to use gauges to measure all the angles of the bulb and then use these figures to calculate the surface area. That approach sometimes took as long as 20 minutes. The second way is to fill the bulb with water and then pour the contents into a measuring cup, which usually took about 1 minute. Edison never hired the engineers who used the first method. He didn't want the engineers to impress him. He wanted them to provide simple results. The second element in effective problem solving is the ability to make decisions. Thomas J. Watson Jr., former head of IBM, believed that solving problems quickly was essential to making progress. "Solve it," he declared. "Solve it quickly. Solve it right or wrong. If you solve it wrong, it will come back and slap you in the face, and then you can solve it right. Lying dead in the water and doing nothing is a comfortable alternative because it is without risk, but it is an absolutely fatal way to manage a business. It's also a terrible way for people to manage their lives. Help others realize when they need to make course adjustments. Find simple solutions that they think will work, then execute them without delay. Don't let them continue traveling off course for any length of time. Instill confidence in them. One pitfall of helping others with their problems and mistakes is that they can doubt themselves. Continually encourage the people you help. George Matthew Adams said, "What you think means more than anything else in your life. More than what you earn, more than where you live, more than your social position, and more than what anyone else may think about you. The size of the person's confidence and the quality of their attitude are more important than the size of any problem they may face. If people remain confident, they will be able to overcome any obstacle. A navigator stays with the people. Finally, a good navigator takes the trip with the people he is guiding. He doesn't give directions and then walk away. He travels alongside his people as a friend. As you come alongside some of the people within your influence and mentor them, you and they may experience difficult times together. You won't be perfect, and neither will they, but just keep in mind what Henry Ford's words. Your best friend is he who brings out the best that is within you. Do your best to follow that objective, and you will help a lot of people. Once people learn to become effective problem solvers and they can navigate for themselves, their lives begin to change dramatically. No longer do they feel powerless in the face of life's difficult circumstances. They learn to roll with the punches, even duck a few. Once problem solving becomes a habit, no challenge seems too large. The ability to navigate problems and overcome obstacles is a skill that anyone can learn, but it takes practice. Become a navigator in the lives of others. You will be able to use your influence to help them move up to the next level in their lives. And if you assist them during their darkest hours, you will make friends of them for life. Yeah, make sure to help people in their darkest hours. Influence checklist. Navigating for other people. Identify their destinations. Think about 3 people you've decided to enlarge. What are their destinations? Observe what makes them cry, sing, and dream. Write these things down here. Look ahead. Based on your experience and knowledge of these people, list the difficulties you think they are likely to face in the near future. Plan ahead. How can you help them navigate through these potential problems? Write down what you can do and when you should do it. So I think for today, it's just going to be one chapter. Next chapter is chapter 8. A person of influence connects with people. I will read that on Monday at 7:30. If you stopped by for the stream, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope that you enjoyed at least part of this, even if the stream wasn't perfect. I am developing and growing this stream as I go along. And it's not perfect. I know it's not perfect, but it's going to get better. And when I finish this book, I'm going to try to get more people involved, because I would like to have a robust conversation going that involves more people, potentially. If I can do that, I'll be very happy with that, because I kind of want... I love these books. I love what I learn about them. I love the little tidbits that I get. So I want to share it. I want other people to see these and how powerful and influential they can be. So I want to read the good ones for people, and I want to take people along the journey with me. And I made a lot of mistakes with this first round of streams, and I know that. But I needed to make these mistakes. I needed to fail a little bit. And I still need to fail. And there's so many ways that I kind of messed this up, but I've learned a lot. But on the second round, on the second book, I'm going to promote it much harder. I'm going to spend a lot more time promoting it. That's one of my biggest failures, is I know that I could have promoted this a lot better. I know that I could have made this a bigger thing to promote. If I had spent some time on Facebook, hyping it up, making content, I already have ideas of what the next book I'm going to do is, and I have some ideas about how I can promote it and how I can tie it into people's kind of wants and dreams in a little bit more of a deep way. And I'm going to talk to people that, the people that are closest to me, my family especially, and just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do next. I really think you might find it interesting, and I'd love it if you kind of joined me on this journey. I think they'd go along with that. I think they would join me. And but I'm glad I kind of took this first book to make a lot of mistakes on. And if nothing else, this book is helping me in little bits here and there, and it's really challenging me quite a bit. So at the very least, I gained this out of that. So if you're here, thank you for joining me. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you for watching this, and I'll see you next time.
Legends never die. when the world is calling you? Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you play for reaching greatness, relentless, you'll survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. No, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world's calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you breathe for reaching greatness, legends never die. They're written down in eternity, but you'll never see the price it cost. The scars collected all their lives. When everything's lost, they pick up their hearts and avenge defeat. Before it all starts, they suffer through harm just to tell their dream. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world's calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? They become a part of you. Every time you breathe for reaching greatness, legends I don't like walking around this old and empty house.
So hold my hand, I'll walk with you, my dear.
The stars creak as you sleep, it's keeping me awake.
It's the house telling you to close your eyes.
Some days I can't even trust myself.
It's killing me to see you this way. 'Cause though the truth may vary, this ship will carry our bodies safe to the shore. Don't listen to a word I say. The screams all sound the same. Though the truth may vary, this ship will carry our bodies safe to shore.
Guess this is all we know. This feeling's all we know. There's an old voice in my head that's holding me back.
Well, tell her that I miss our little talks.
Soon it will be over and buried with our past.
We used to play outside when we were young and full of life and full of love.
Some days I don't know if I am wrong or right.
Your mind is playing tricks on you, my dear. 'Cause though the truth may vary, this ship will carry our bodies safe to shore. Don't listen to a word I say. screams all sound the same. Though the truth may vary, this ship will carry our bodies safe to shore.
Guess this is all we know. This feeling's all we know.
You're gone, gone, gone away. I watched you disappear. All that's left is a ghost of you. Now we're torn, torn, torn apart. There's nothing we can do. Just let me go, we'll meet again.